One of the things that I've noticed, and you may have too, is that a lot of women, especially moms, are realizing something right now. They're realizing that taking care of your family's health has become a little complicated. Let's say you're trying to buy healthier foods and you're reading labels whenever you can on products. You might even be swapping out some products little by little here and there. And I know that you do your best. But have you ever stopped to think about everything else your child or the one that you love is surrounded by every single day? Because it's not just the food they eat. It's also the bedding that they sleep in for hours every night. It could be the products that you're washing their clothes and the fabrics in that's touching their skin. And then there may be what's lingering in the air inside your home. You see, sometimes something as simple as a heavily fragrant product that's constantly being used around them, and we don't even think twice about it because it smells clean, right? And when you really stop and think about how delicate a child's skin and their little bodies are, it makes you start looking at your home environment a little differently. So today I want to have a real conversation with you about why more women are beginning to pay closer attention to what surrounds their loved ones at home, and why small, repeated exposure over time is worth paying attention to, and why creating a healthier home in the first place often becomes much more simpler when you stop trying to do everything perfectly and start focusing on what actually matters most for your family. Are you eating well, moving your body, maybe even reading labels and still thinking, I'm doing all the healthy things, so why do I still feel off? If that's you, you're in the right place. Welcome to Start Living Sustainable, the podcast where your health finally gets the foundation the other pillars need to work, because what you're exposed to in your home and on your body is quietly raising your toxic load and forcing your food and fitness to work harder than they should. Hi, I'm Cynthia, a non-toxic lifestyle strategist who learned the cost of exposure the long way, years before most women even know to look. Now you can start where I wish I could have, so your body can respond to the work you're already doing, not fight against it. Because when your foundation is supported, your sleep, hormones, clarity, and even your workouts finally catch up with your intentions without turning your life into a project. If you're ready, let's begin. Let's be honest, most women already feel like they're carrying enough without turning wellness into a second full-time job. And I'll be frank with you, that confusion right there is exactly where so many women get stuck. They want to make better choices, but they don't know what to focus on first. That's what I'm finding. And that's exactly why I created my Healthy Home Reset audit sessions, because what one family should prioritize first may look completely different from another family, depending on a person's lifestyle, their sensitivities, their routines, budget, and what their child or children are interacting with the most. You got to consider all of these things, and sometimes having personalized guidance make the process feel so much simpler and a lot more doable. And if you want to see whether this kind of support would even make sense for you, you can start with a free discovery call with me. We'll talk through your concerns, your home environment, and where it makes most sense for you to begin. The link is in the show notes down below. This was not always easy for me. Quite honestly, this shift in perspective started for me years ago in a way I didn't expect. Those of you who've been listening here on Start Living Sustainable, you already know, but for anybody new, back when I was working in fashion and the textile industries, I started learning more about what was actually being added to fabrics and household materials during the manufacturing process, including the different finishes that they would put on different types of material. There were the synthetic blends and the chemical treatments that are used in the manufacturing and design of clothing is to to improve performance, resist stains, reduce wrinkles, and things most consumers just never think about. Once I started learning about these things, I couldn't stop noticing them. They were here, they were there, they were using them everywhere. And I asked myself, what can I do about it? Because there's always options. You just got to know where they are and what to look for. After becoming a mother, that's when it really clicked for me. And most women, they look at things a little differently when there's a little one involved. I started realizing how closely children live connected to their environment. They sleep wrapped up in fabrics for hours, and they wear clothing against their skin all day like we do, but their skin is so much more sensitive. But what about everything else surrounding them every day? That question stayed with me, and honestly, it completely changed the way I looked at wellness inside my home. And that brings me to what I really want you to think about today, and not fearfully, just more intentionally. I really believe that one of the biggest things that many women, including moms, underestimate is how much repeated daily contact matters to their child's sensitive skin and their developing little bodies. And I'm not talking about one dramatic exposure. I'm talking about repetition. Think about how many hours a child spends surrounded by the same environment every single day and how it may be affecting them. The same bedding, clothing, inside air, laundry products, all of the other things. And once I started understanding more about synthetic materials, fragrance systems, and textile treatments through my background in fashion and textile science, I realized modern families are surrounded by far more processed materials and environmental exposure than most people even stop to think about. Now, let me say this clearly. This is not for you to panic, okay? And it's definitely not about perfection, because honestly, and I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see moms are making is becoming overwhelmed and trying to change everything at once. Or worse, spending money replacing random things without really knowing what matters most for their specific situation. And this is where personalized guidance becomes incredibly valuable, because a child with asthma may need a different starting point than a child dealing with skin irritation. And think about it, a small apartment may need a different approach than a large home. We also have to consider the budget, because that matters too. So does your lifestyle and your daily routines. These are all considerations. Your child's age and what he or she interacts with most often, that matters too. So instead of trying to fix everything overnight, here's one simple place I recommend moms can start by asking yourself this question: what does my child spend the most time touching or surrounded by every single day? Start right there. Start there. Don't start everywhere. Start right there. Because sometimes answering that question can actually bring to mind some small intentional shifts in high contact areas that can actually make a meaningful difference over time. Just starting with that one thing. And honestly, having someone help you identify what may be worth prioritizing first can save you a lot of stress, confusion, and unnecessary spending. Because if we're being honest, the internet will have you replacing your entire house by the end of the week, and we don't want that. So before we close today's conversation, just as a little recap, here's what I really hope stays with you. What surrounds your child at home really does matter. And maybe more than most moms realize, not because you should panic, not because you need guilt added to your life, but because repeated daily contact adds up over time. So we need to look at what that is. And the good news is you do not have to figure all this out by yourself. With the right guidance, this process can become much more clear, personalized, and manageable for your real life and your real budget. So start simple, pay attention to the highest contact areas first. And we talk more about that in my sessions. And remember, small intentional changes, they really do matter. And if you want support figuring out what changes may make the most sense for your home and your family specifically, go ahead and book a free wellness call with me, or you can apply for one of my Healthy Home Reset Audit sessions. The link to both of those are in the show notes down below. And next week, I want to talk about something I think a lot of modern moms are quietly exhausted by: the pressure to constantly buy more in the name of wellness. We're going to talk about why simplifying your environment may actually support your well-being more than chasing every new trend, product, or a must-have wellness item online. It's not that complicated. Really, it's not that complicated. Until next time, just remember, protect your peace, protect your home, and remember, living well never goes out of style. I'll see you back here next week for another episode of Start Living Sustainable. Be blessed.